The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
Say what's on my mind at any given time of day, cause I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to holler about anything.
Welcome in to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky. We've got a big show today. We're going to be recapping the winter meetings. What did the Cubs and Sox do this past week?
A lot of stuff.
We got a Bears are going to preview the Bears game against the Redskins. The Bears looking for their second home win of the season. That's unbelievable that they've won 5 games and only one of them has been at home.
Yeah, that's something probably very rare that has rarely ever happened, at least to the Bears. I mean, who would have thought that they would be such an away team? Although most of the teams that they played away have been pretty bad for the most part.
Right, we're also going to talk about Golden State. When are they going to lose a game?
I don't know, but they play. I think they play another game either tonight or tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow, and then they play Saturday night in Milwaukee. Wouldn't that be fun to go up to Milwaukee and possibly see the streak snap?
Right. Yep. There were a few games I thought it would end, and anyways, that's later on in the show. Last night, the White Sox traded for third baseman Brett Lawrie.
Yes, they did.
2 pitching prospects, which I'm sure Oakland thought they got a pretty good end of that deal. I mean, it's never a good thing when Oakland wants some of your players because they have really good scouting there.
Right, and that's going to be. It was sort of an interesting move. I guess. It makes sense for the White Sox.
It does. They needed a third baseman. I mean, the past couple of years they've been throwing out Connor Gillespie, Gordon Beckham, Tyler Saladino, and they really haven't had the results that they wanted. And, I mean, obviously third base is a position that you need to get a big production from. The Cubs are getting that from Chris Bryant. And the White Sox, they really haven't had, a third baseman, like a true third baseman since Joe Creedy.
Pretty much,
They've
right?
pretty much been throwing out a bunch of guys. It was kind of like what the Cubs were doing before the arrival of Bryant, or the in-between after Rotten Santa was traded until they traded for Aramis Ramirez. And, third base is a position you really want to get good power from. Brett Lawrie had one of the better seasons of his career. He was able to stay healthy, played 149 games. That was a career high for him. He also hit a career high 16 home runs. He can also play second base, so there's a little flexibility there. He's not the best defender, except, you can get by with him. I mean, he's probably about the same as what you were getting from Connor Gillespie, maybe a little better. The only concerning stat you'd have about Lawrie is just he batted .260, which you'll take that from him, except his on-base percentage was .299. So that's just the one negative with him.
Yeah, I'm not sure he had a great year last year.
It was the best season of his career. He's had injury problems, especially ankle injuries, and he was able to stay healthy. And hopefully the White Sox got something good for him. And I mean, at U.S. Cellular Field, there's a chance that maybe he'll be able to hit 20 home runs. He hit 16 in Oakland last year in 149 games. So if he stays healthy, 20 home runs isn't out of the question.
No, it's not. Yeah, last year he batted .260, 16 home runs, like you said, 29 doubles,
and some
3
of those
triples.
Yeah, some of those doubles
really,
could turn into home runs at U.S. Cellular Field. I mean, I think it's a good move for Lawrie. I think that he's probably in one of the better positions, and he's been in his career with. Because he was an early first-round pick by Milwaukee. He was traded to Toronto in the Sean Markham trade. Never could stay on the field. In Toronto, they traded him to Oakland in the Josh Donaldson trade, and and the White Sox will have him for 2 more years. So we'll see what he can do. And one thing that's nice, this is kind of one of those under the radar moves that could end up paying big dividends. This is kind of like one of those, you make kind of like a sneaky move where.
Unfortunately, that's what we saw last year when the White Sox got Adam LaRoche. Everyone's like, oh, he was coming off such a great season with Washington, moving to the American League, and pretty much just being a DH. He should be able to hit 30 home runs, maybe even more. And, that did not pan out. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Brett Lowry, because they do need third base production, and it's always nice to have a power guy like Lowry who can hit 25 home runs possibly, especially at U.S. Cellular Field. And the Sox gave a couple prospects to Oakland, and it looks like for Oakland anyway, as far as this trade is concerned, they're looking more towards the future once again with setting up their team with a bunch of prospects.
Right, and that's what they got to do. I mean, that's what they've been doing for a while, just stockpile on prospects. Last year when the Oakland traded Samardzija to the White Sox, the package immediately when the Sox sent that package, that was one of those trades where you think, Oakland just was just trying to get something for him, except Marcus Semien had a good year. I know his defense wasn't good, except he still had double-digit home runs.
Yeah,
he was versatile.
Did he lead the majors in errors or something, or he led all shortstops?
Yeah,
with errors?
He made a lot of errors, except he proved his versatility. He could play third base and second base and shortstop. Chris Bassett had a sub-3 ERA, I believe. It was something right around there. So, and then they got Josh Fegley, who performed really well, and he probably performed well enough that the White Sox wished that they had tried to sneak Flowers into that deal instead of Fegley.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Tyler Flowers, the White Sox did non-tender him, and at the winter meetings, he signed a 2-year deal with the Braves. So it's going to be A.J. Przinsky and Tyler Flowers as another team's catching duo.
Yeah, unfortunately, when they were both together in Chicago, they never did anything. But in maybe in Atlanta, that's another rebuilding team.
Right.
Maybe they can, get some success before AJ retires.
And it's a 2-year deal for Tyler Flowers that has the potential to get up to about $12 or $13 million in incentives and I believe a team option for a third year. It's a good low risk signing. With the White Sox going into their catching situation, they signed Alex Avila early in the offseason. We talked about that at a previous show. They signed Deoner Navarro, so now they've got a catching platoon, except the only issue I have with that is...
Yeah, we were kind of confused by it.
They both have 1-year deals, so what is going to happen with the catching situation after this year? You imagine if Avila has a good year, some team will give him a good contract because he is very good defensively as a catcher.
Right, and that's going to be interesting. And then
maybe they're counting on Matt Wieters hitting the free agent market.
Possibly, and then because you can't really be stuck with Deoner Navarro as your main catcher. That's not good news.
Right, I think right now they're going with a platoon. He'll play against the lefties, Avila against the righties.
And I guess the thing we have to realize is are the White Sox done this winter?
I don't think so. When Rick Hahn's interview at the winter meetings, he kind of implied that they had something else planned. I mean, it probably won't be anything splashy. They might make a good trade. Maybe they'll trade for another infielder because they still need to get a shortstop unless they want to put Tyler Saladino there, or maybe they'll trade for, maybe try to trade for some catching prospect because after this year, catching really is up in the air. And
yeah, I mean, it definitely is, and it's so important to have a catcher.
Right.
It's especially a good defensive catcher.
And the offensive production will be much better than it has since AJ left. Navarro and Avila's got double-digit home run power. Navarro,
if he can stay healthy, he could be really good.
Navarro has proved that just as a time with the Cubs, I think he hit 12 home runs this year with the Cubs, batted .280.
3 in one game against the White Sox.
He did hit 3 in a game against the White Sox. He's a switch hitter. He walks a lot, doesn't strike out much, and he's another good defensive catcher. So all in all, with them, they also strengthen their bench a little bit. Maybe late in the games they need to pinch hit someone, or they bring in a lefty to face Avila. You'd send Navarro to pinch hit.
Right.
So it's a good. They finally addressed the catching situation, except they didn't really address it in a way that. It's long term. These signings are pretty much 1 year.
It's for this year, yeah.
And
that's
that,
sort of what it is.
And the thing is, after that, what are they going to do if both of them leave as free agents? They don't have any catchers in their system. The free agent market for catchers has been getting thinner by the year. Just because there's a shortage of actual really good catcher, so maybe after next season the Cubs will try to trade Montero with 1 year left on his deal, free up some money.
Yeah, I guess it's just going to be a 1 year thing, and I think the White Sox know that for the most part. And the interesting thing was last night, before the Brett Lowry trade was official, It was heard that the White Sox were in on Todd Frazier. Now, wouldn't that have been interesting?
Right. They probably would have had to give up someone like Rodon or Quintana to get that deal done, and I think the White Sox weren't going to do that. And they smartly decided not to do that. And
yeah, I think Lowry's a good fit. It seems to fit.
It's the right fit for them. It was the right move. It's too bad there wasn't maybe some sort of catcher that they could have tried to get there. Mm-hmm. And the Cubs, they signed Ben Zobrist, and then they coincidentally traded Starlin Castro. We're going to dissect that trade more, that signing and the trade after this quick break, and then we'll also be getting into some other moves that were made, including the Shelby Miller trade. Did the Diamondbacks overpay? So stay tuned. You're listening to the Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.